Tell me your story.
My story. Well, I'm an 18th century brazier. I do copperware, small copperware. Basically, it's a coppersmith, but a coppersmith in the 18th century made coppers. Huge cauldrons, wax melting pots, dye vats, tanner's vats, things like that. Whereas the brazier, who by the way made a noisy neighbor, made all the smaller pieces, coffee pots, chocolate pots, pans, plates, things like that. And that's what I do. That's what I do for the last 30 years. I do feel absolutely like I'm a man from the past. I'm in the wrong time frame completely. It just holds an immense fascination for me, every single thing about it. The anthropology, the archaeology, the physical remains, how they did what they did and why they did it is all fascinating, just incredibly fascinating. My wife and I were reenactors for a while, and I got hurt on a job and spent a couple of years out of work and decided to do something in the hobby. And we decided to make lighting equipment, lighting goods, sconces and lanterns. And it turns out that most reenactors don't need a sconce and a tent or trekking through the woods, so we had to shift our focus a little bit. And we started to think of cookware. We had to search a lot of museums in Europe and holding hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of original pieces, seeing how they were made, what marks were left on them by the maker, and then trying to duplicate those pieces one by one. So to me, the challenge is a new piece. It's making the tools to make the piece, or the tools to make the patterns to make the piece, and then coming out with a piece that looks just like the original. It's a real thrill having something come off your end of your bench that you know is the equal to one made 300 years ago. That's a big thrill. It really is. I started out as a sheet metal worker, and I worked in that trade for probably 8 or 10 years through construction. And it was almost no help whatsoever when I got to coppersmithing, because there's nothing on coppersmithing. There's nothing in writing that I've found yet that shows you how to make a period piece. There are a couple of later books from the 1880s, and it's mostly large pieces, railroad and shipbuilding, smokestacks and things like that. But get down to a chocolate pot and you're on your own. You got to make the pattern, make the tool, figure out how the original was done, and see if you can do it. The 18th century braziers and coppersmiths were all part of the Braziers and Coppersmiths Guild, and they were sworn to secrecy. The only people they could tell the secrets to were their apprentices. As the programs died out and the apprenticeship programs were no longer in vogue, coppersmiths died out and they took everything with them to the grave. Nobody sat down and put their secrets down in a book somewhere. So the last guy who died took that accumulated 500 or 600 or 800 years worth of knowledge into the grave with him. The difficult part is you want the piece to be right. You know what it takes to do it. You want to do it. You want people to buy it, not just for the big buck item, but to have a piece of the past that is so correct that it could be from the past, that it's usable. Everything I made is made with a hammer or bent with hands. You bend it with hands. It's just so fascinating to make a piece and say, that's what they would have used. That exact thing is what they would have used X number of years ago. I still love doing this. This is what I do rather than anything else, because there are thousands, literally thousands. I've got a couple hundred pieces that I still want to make. So somebody coming on right now, if they picked up from everything I have and went on, there's thousands of new things out there. And it's an adventure. It's an unending adventure.